Welcome to Weird Games and Weirder People, a podcast about role playing games and the weird, wonderful people behind them. Hello, wonderful weirdos. This is Diogo Nogueira, and today's guest is the magnificent Daniel Sell from Melsonian Art Council, author of Troika, of Undercroft zine, of many wonderful tabletop RPG products. But before that, I have a few announcements. I will be on Game On Expo on Phoenix, Arizona from March 15th to 17th, and I'll also be on GaryCon on Lake Geneva, Wisconsin from March 23rd to 25th. And I would like to remind you to subscribe to the show wherever you listen to your podcasts. Also, leave us a review, tell people what you think about the show, share with your friends, with your family, with your gaming group, and support the show. Look at the show notes to see how you can support the show, pay us a coffee at Ko-Fi, buy one of my games. I don't know, do what you can and I'll do what I can here. And now getting back to Daniel Sell, we talk about many things. We talk about how he always tries to learn new things every month. He's running a company, he's writing stuff, he's editing. We talk about creative writing, how he tries to work without worrying too much about what people think about his work, how it will be received, and he believes that brings a much more authenticity, and that's what brings the weird to the games and to the books, to be authentic and do what you think, what you like. We talk about Swivers, which is in Kickstarter right now. It's going to be released by Melsonian Art Council, by Luke Gearing and David Hoskins. And we talk about creative rituals. We talk about his love for pens, how he read a lot of sci-fi and watch a lot of Italian horror movies. We talk about Secumel, Horn, Dark Sun, Dark Soul. We had a great chat, and I hope you enjoy it as much as we did. So let's get weird with Daniel Sell. Hi Daniel, welcome to Weird Games and Weirder People. I'm so happy to have you here and see you in face finally and having this conversation instead of through Facebook chat or anything. So how have you been, my friend?
Very good. We're very busy. Just coming off of Christmas time. Christmas time is busy for games and whatnot. So yeah, good.
Yeah, Melsonian is always putting something out there, right? And not only Troika, we're delving into various different kind of games now. And how have you been adjusting to this increasing amount of work that you've been putting out? Like, because Troika started kind of small, and you started with zines, right? I remember your zines, and then I bought them, and then came Troika and just some chapbooks, and now like all these different games and you're putting together. How has this transition, to initially doing zines and then getting bigger and bigger, and now becoming actually, not just publishing your work, but becoming a publishing house for other authors?
It's a continuing learning experience, and one that we're not not in any way prepared for. We're having to learn new things seemingly every month or so. Just new stuff that I think would be obvious to someone who came up through doing business things, but to us it's all new and strange. So yeah, it is odd. We don't get much time to think about or appreciate how big or small or whatever we are. We just have to just kind of plow ahead with what we're doing.
Get to it, yeah.
yeah. There's no time to think.
And do you see yourself doing a lot more, kind of this administrative work with being a publisher instead of doing more creation work? And how, because with me, I tried to, start a publisher, and I think that I realized that I hate that part of the work. I like creating and make my book, but having to deal with, distribution and printing and Kickstarters and was way too much for me. How do you deal with that part yourself? Do you have someone that do this for you? How do you grew from being a creator and being this, the CEO of a
it was
publisher or something.
it was I mean it was accidental and not. I mean even now it's not really something I particularly want to be doing forever. I would like to get more back to the creative stuff because, like, I mean, like you, I mean, I much prefer that. I don't really rate the other stuff. It's just that I think, I mean, originally I did it that way just because there was no other way to do it, and yeah, and it's like, I mean, who else would do it? That is the problem.
Yeah,
That is like, I mean, we want to make physical books. Um, we don't want to use print on demand, so it
yeah.
limits your choices. You'd have to, yeah. I mean, it'd
Partner
be
with
very
someone
difficult.
up. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
And the kind, I think as well, like if we'd started from the beginning, just like if we took Troika somewhere and said like we want to publish this, I don't think people would have done because it's not an easy thing to sell people on, to get people playing a new game that they're not familiar with, that people consider to be weird. It's not easy. And I mean, I imagine what would have happened if we went to a traditional role play game publisher. It'd been
Publisher. Yeah.
published and then kind of probably just die on the vine, and then like yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, if
Then,
when you have everything yourself, when you have everything underneath you, everything is just kind of a perennial
oh yeah,
thing,
you have
which
more
is nice.
control. Yeah.
Mm. So yeah,
Th-
I'd love to go back to creative
Then,
stuff. But yeah, gone.
for whatever reason, the wonderful creators out there that might not know who Daniel Sell is, might be
Mm.
familiar with Troika or Melsonian Art Council. Would you uh, talk a little bit about yourself, who Daniel Sell is, what is that you do, and if you can share maybe a small detail about yourself, maybe a weird
Mm.
habits that you have, or the way you dress, or like
Mm.
the hats you like to use, and any kind of weird thing that someone said, yeah, you're weird because of this or that. Can you talk a little bit
Yeah.
about this?
So yeah, I'm Daniel Sell. I wrote Troika. I came into that through just being in the blog scene on kind of the last half of that kind of period of blogs and OSR being this kind of new cool thing. So yeah, so I did Troika, which is roughly based on fight and fantasy stuff, and yeah, and I made a publishing house just because I needed a name to publish it under, so that's what we did. We made a publishing house, and then other people like, I got a book, you want to publish it, and then we end up with a full blown publishing house, and that's where we are now. I still write. I mean, I still have books coming out, but it's yeah, it's just it's also publishing stuff, and yeah, I don't know, weird habits. I mean, I mainly just work all the time at the moment because it's a constant state of confusion. Um, but I guess, I mean, a weird habit or with my work would be that, and I think probably one of the things that has managed to get me this far is that I'm not really, with my personal work at least, I'm not really concerned about uh, um, how people receive it. Like I don't feel like an imposter or something like that. That seems like a common thing with a lot of people. Just like, I'm not good enough, I'm
Okay.
not worthy. It's like I'm just, people are just looking at the things I did, and that's fine. And that's yeah, that's probably weird,
Hmm.
I think.
Yeah. Have you ever been this way? Have you ever been confident or not caring that much about what other people think about your work? Was this
I don't think
something you developed over time?
it might be. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm not like I don't know if confidence is the word. It's just I just have a, I don't know. It's a
If you care
philosophical
about it, it's enough
relation.
for
Yeah,
you, right? That's
yeah,
kind
yeah.
of
I mean,
it.
yeah.
Like,
If I like it, I mean, I would only be upset about how people feel about it if I knew that it wasn't good. If I just like churn something out, I guess I would feel bad. But if I like it, then I don't think um, my feelings can be hurt too badly about stuff I make.
Yeah,
So as long as
that
you
was
believe in it,
kind of my question is: have you always enjoyed your work, or it's something that's developed over time as we
I,
became better, like, and then
I,
we started pursuing our
maybe.
work more?
I think it is that I do feel really bad when people um, dislike something that I know is also bad. So I guess it's not that I don't care. It's just that I don't put things out that I don't believe in. I guess now that's probably what it is. I mean,
Mm,
it's also like it's
yeah,
probably because of university as well. Like I did a creative writing degree, which is it's pretty brutal with like you know back and forth and people
criticism.
being
Yeah,
yeah. So you just kind of I guess you just get used to it to a certain degree. I mean, not everyone does, but I think I was
yeah,
alright with it.
yeah.
I
I've
think like
I've
after being humiliated a few times, in
mm,
front of a bunch of people, then you just you either fix it
yeah.
or get used to it.
Yeah, you get used to it. I remember watching a game design course
Mm.
with Will Wright, and he talks about in developing groups how sometimes artists are really much more comfortable with criticism and corrections of their work because they went to art school and it has this practice of people criticize their work and trying to make
Mm.
better, and sometimes writers that especially someone or programmers that kind of grew on themselves and don't have this tradition of criticizing each other work. They take
Yeah.
criticism or much more personal than someone that has this history of
Mm.
dealing with other artists that watching their job and trying to criticize one another to learn in a school, like you said.
Mm.
So
I
maybe
think it's
it's a
also
bit
really
of
useful
that
as well
too.
because most of the criticism that you see around popular culture is just variations on like angry video game nerd
Oh yeah.
stuff. And it's like you can't like that kind of criticism as soon as it loses its temper. It's like you just can't take anything seriously. Then like how can you feel
Oh
bad
yeah.
about someone being I don't know being silly
Yeah.
online? So it's very rare that you get
Yeah.
anything that's
I
like
mean,
real criticism, I guess.
yeah, you have to have this distance. One thing that I always keep in mind is that uh, don't take criticism from someone you
Mm.
wouldn't take advice from. So
Yeah,
you
that's a
know,
good idea.
I would take
Yeah.
advice from when if you said something about my game, I would look way more into it than just random person on the internet
Mm.
because I trust your work. I know what you do, and I would take advice from you. But
Yeah,
also
yeah, exactly.
sometimes, even though we don't know that those person, my first reaction is to reject the criticism immediately. But sometimes what I see is that those person identify maybe a problem or an issue, and they try
Mm.
to give you a solution, but the solution is always wrong.
Yeah.
But you have to try to look for the issue. The issue is
Mm.
might be there. Like the solution is probably they don't know what you're talking about. They know what your game. They don't know what you're trying to do. But sometimes if you don't take it too hard. Let it go,
Mm.
let it rest, and just let it think for a while. And then sometimes I can take something for it. But yeah, we have to be careful
Yeah.
to care about this stuff.
Yeah, you just take the criticism like that as kind of a symptom rather than an actual kind of
Yeah,
bit of information.
exactly.
Like yeah,
Uh,
yeah, I think that's
w-
healthy.
Melsonian Art Council, the name. Does
Hmm.
Melsonian has a meaning for you? What does it mean? How did you get to that name?
It was just a nonsense name we used to use when we were like, in our teens. Me and a friend of mine just made it up because I don't know. I think we were just bored one day, and it was just
Yeah.
it was a what do you call it? A portmanteau? Can't remember the word. Where you combine a bunch of words into one. Of our names, and yeah, and we just declared it
Yeah.
a fictional country, and we just used that as the default name for anything. We needed a name, like if we're playing games or something, we'd name everything like a Melsonian thing. So
Oh, cool.
we thought it'd be
So you
funny
had like
that
setting and kingdoms and places in your games that
kind
were
of
named
yeah.
Melsonian? Okay.
Yeah, like if we're playing
Yeah.
like online games together or something, we would just name everything that would just be the default, and so it
Mhm.
just carried on. and now it's
And
a business.
as you mentioned, Troika being a weird fantasy game, and the
Hmm.
podcast is all about the weird. We kind of have this positive view of it, kind of weird is the new wonderful.
Hmm.
But I like to ask guests here to say with their words what is weird for you and how do you seek it, not only in your work but also in your life, like this interesting, unique experiences. How do you see the weird for you?
I mean, weird is just I would say just novelty, for the most part. Usually, weird things are things that are extremely personal in some way. Like I find, like with games that are made by people who have a very strong uh, vision and a healthy amount of ignorance, tend to be weird. I think, yeah, things like I don't know. I mean, it's hard to
What do
apply
you
it to
mean
role play
by
games. I mean, I'm just
healthy
thinking. I mean, in
amount of
terms of
ignorance?
it's like it's either like ignorance or resistance to kind of the the zeitgeist. Um, Something like, I mean, like in board games, it would be something like Cave Evil, which is doing its own thing very strongly, and it's weird for that reason. Like it's out there on its own, just being itself, and it's not part of the churn of new things and trends. It just
Yeah.
and yeah, things like that, which are just things that you look at and you think like an alien could have made this. This is just unlike anything I've seen before. That's what I like
Yeah.
as weird. I mean, I guess the kind of weird people think about is just like just like random things mashed together. But like, I don't think that's anything. I think that's just what it sounds like, just random things. But yeah, weird is just just novelty and some friction.
Yeah. And how do you try to insert this in your work? Like, do you always seek? You talked about being authentic and being
Mm.
personal, and how do you did that with Troika, for example? What personal things and authentic things from yourself would you say you inserted into Troika?
I mean, I think the first thing is trying not to think about how it will be received in the first instance is good. I mean, that's an editing pass. That's You can tidy it up later if you need to, but just getting out the thing that you want to be there um, is the first bit. Like, I mean, like I originally I made Troika in such a way that so that I could design for it inside in the way that I feel comfortable making things. I don't want to do long linear things. I like being able to zip around and like when you have a new thought, you can go off and do that one straight away. So that's why Troika is kind of fragmentary like that. Um, so I mean that's also why
Yeah,
there will never be a giant setting book or anything, because like I couldn't write it, and even if I wanted to. Um, and I think it'll be. I mean, like making adventures is exactly that as well. It's just like a bunch of disconnected bits and bobs that you string together. So that's quite fun. Like I mean, like I did, but like Slate and Chalcedony is that kind of thing. It's like lots of bits that all come together. And I mean, I've
yeah,
got two more books coming out this year, which are going to be even more strongly bits strung together in a way. And then I don't know. I mean, I enjoy uh, the there's fun in the contrast of elements, I guess. Um, there's a certain. I think that's also why people think like our stuff is funny. It's not got like I said before in other places. Like there's no jokes in it. Like it's not a nothing's a joke. It's just that certain kinds of friction and juxtaposition are amusing. just like they are in real life. I mean, that's like, that's just life. Some things are, the
Yeah.
novelty of them makes you giggle, but that's also very realistic. Like, I mean, if you look around, like, I don't know how it is where you are, but like if you look around at street names in London, a lot of them are ridiculous, and no one would ever use those in a fantasy game, just because they're too silly. But they're real. Like it's a very
Yeah.
human thing, just to have these kind of just strange things. And it's also, I don't know. I think I'm off track anyway, but like I think it's also important to have that feeling, like to replicate that feeling of a history and past to something like some dumb name you thought up. You need to fake it. Like that's the problem. That's why people, like, I think a lot of people don't like this kind of like random letters, fancy naming things, because it doesn't feel like it's lived in.
Well thought of. Yeah.
It just
They don't
feels like
feel.
completely fabricated. Yeah, like if you see, like,
Yeah.
like if you see a road called Treacle Lane, it's like there's probably a reason why it's called Treacle Lane. It's not super important why, but it's like you have that feeling that you're walking through something that exists, which is which is another thing I like in these kind of books,
Yeah.
which is hard to
And
do if
in
you talk linearly about stuff.
yeah.
So
And in reality can be weird enough. Even those,
yeah,
those
super.
funny, silly names can add a little bit of weird to your, fantasy games. And I see a lot of about, people trying to make games so serious, like fantasy games, like everything is dark and serious, and it kind of gets monotonous. And I think those,
Mm,
silly, not necessarily made there to be funny, but it's real. It's not so, you know, not everything has to work for the plots of the game. So I
mm.
think that's a very very good addition
I
to
think
games.
seriousness dates you as well. Like if you think of like what I think I was watching a thing about fashion the other day, and it's like um, the ideal image of a British legionary gentleman who was a very manly man, it would be laughably ridiculous right now. Just like he's got to have like childbearing hips, a teeny tiny waist, and just a massive collar going up to your ears. It would just be funny. And so
Yeah,
if you're trying to be like, big, scary, dark, manly man kind of thing, it's just you're going to look silly in 20
yeah,
years.
indeed, yeah, indeed. Uh, do you think RPGs in its essence are they a weird thing? But before that, like you mentioned, two more books coming this year. Before we
Mhm.
get to RPGs weird, would you like to talk a little bit about what those two books are, and what's like your favorite weird things about them?
Yeah, I can do. So these are just like my personal books that I've written. We have other books from other
Yeah,
people. Like we have Swivers coming out soon, that which people have
yeah.
seen already. Um, but yeah, we got it's two books where one of them has been written for ages and is just kind of waiting for a time to do layout and stuff. That's Get It at Sutler's, which is I like procedural things in games. I think 'cause I read Traveller and just realised that you could play this without ever speaking to the GM. Just like, I'm flying here, I'm gonna buy this, I'm gonna go here, I'm gonna sell that, and I think that's just exciting. So Sutler's is that players can. The whole book is just a side activity for players who are in Troika. They can, if they find themselves low on money and they need money and they don't want to have to do like adventuring stuff for money, they can just go and work in Sutler's, which is a department store, and they work at the fishmongers there because it's the only place that has space. And the whole thing is just, you could just go there and you just get your wages and then you carry on with your normal adventuring, or it'll be, things will likely happen to you. It's like a dungeon in reverse. You stand still and the dungeon kind of slots around you. So yeah, it's kind of
Hmm.
huge as well. Like it's a massive, massive book. Because I feel like if you're going to have a bunch of like random events, then you should have so many of them that they will not get repetitive. And I don't really like generic events, which is like a customer is angry, go GM, improvise. It's like, I can improvise. I can improvise for free at home. I don't need that. so, so the book will be that. Um, and the other one is Hasn't got a name yet, but it's just I've always wanted to have a city map where all the buildings, you know what's in everything, so you can look at it and go, what's in that one, and then you can go and find out. So yeah, that's what the next one is. It's a neighborhood in Troika where every single building has what's in it, who's there, what they're doing, what's going on, and so it's another kind of tool thing for a GM, I guess, is that you can have the players in this area doing your normal thing, and if they run into a building, you know exactly what they're going to run into, which is fun.
Yeah, and what kind of neighbor would you think doing for Troika? Because Troika, it's kind of this weird big city that anything and can go. And what can you expect? I love
Well, I mean,
urban adventures and city adventures. So I'm curious about what things
yeah,
are you gonna find in this.
there's no like, there's not like a secret hidden adventure in there. I mean, there's lots of secret hidden adventures in there. Like everywhere has like people, everyone wants something, and everyone's doing something, and the players can definitely get involved with that kind of stuff. I mean, and there's also, it's something I've made piecemeal over quite a long time. So just like little plot lines appear and disappear
Mm,
throughout the whole place. Like, but the main kind of big events are that like a neighborhood has burnt down recently, and people are confused about who did it, and and
mm,
half the neighborhood has been turned into a goblin labyrinth, which they're okay about. And
yeah.
there's also what else is going on? I'm looking at the map right now. I've got it's just like this. It's just, this is my working map. It's covered in
Nice,
water stains and torn to pieces. And
as it
yeah,
should be.
and yeah, that's kind of what's going on. And and there's a kind of a strong monarchist presence there. Like there's because there's all these competing monarchist groups that think they've got the next king of Troika, and they don't. They're just kind of ridiculous people.
Yeah. You
Um,
mentioned
yeah.
Swivers. It's coming out soon by
Hmm.
Troika. Is it going to Kickstarter or are you releasing it immediately? And can you talk a little bit about it to the weirdos out there that are listening? What is
Yeah,
Swivers?
it's a whole new roleplay game written by Luke Gearing of
Mm,
numerous things.
yeah.
He's done all his Mothership adventures, did Fever Swamp, Wolves on the Coast, all that kind of stuff. Acid Death Fantasy, and yep, and it's been drawn by David Hoskins, who is lovely, and people have probably seen his art around a lot recently because I've been sharing it. But yeah, Swivers is based in The Smoke, which is a thinly veiled fictional London, and the players play as criminals in this horrible kind of Dickensian Regency, late medieval, whatever it is, city, robbing the mansions of the rich and scampering through the sewers, escaping the crown's punishment, making deals with outer demons for petty gain, that kind of good stuff. And yeah, the players are kind of unpleasant, entirely criminal, and yeah, it's its own game. It's not a Troika thing. It's its own little like
Yeah.
city heist criminal game thing.
Nice. And
Playing from there.
where are you releasing it from? Is it going to
Kickstarter.
Kickstarter
It'll
or
it'll go
is
to
it Sony?
Kickstarter in exactly a week from recording. So the Tuesday, sixth of February. I think it is.
Yeah,
Whatever
first
Tuesday it
first
is.
week of
Yeah,
February or first or
yeah,
second week, if you count 1 and 2.
yeah. Definitely. It's coming out.
Awesome.
It's
Yeah.
coming to Kickstarter on Tuesday, and hopefully people like it. People have been playing it already, and they seem to be liking it. So that's encouraging.
Nice. Yeah, Low Gearing does amazing stuff, so I'm
Mm.
excited to see that. Yeah. Now talking about RPGs, and do you think they are intrinsically weird the way they work? And if you do or if you do not, what is your favorite part of role playing games?
I mean, they're weird in as much as uh, they're not super common activities. But I mean, people do escape rooms, and that's weird. that's like the same kind of thing, and that's similar. So I don't think roleplay games are particularly weird. I mean, if anything, I think roleplay games are weirdly conservative with how they go about stuff.
Oh yeah.
And what was the last question? Like, was my what do I like most about games? Was it?
Yeah. What is your favorite part of the role playing game experience in general?
I like I enjoy it most when I'm playing or running games where you get that kind of flow moment of feeling um, like another kind of world's wind through your hair kind of thing. When you get that kind of moment of reality with it, that's kind of fun.
Yeah. And you feel
Um,
the emotion of the character, like they are in danger, you're anxious, you're excited, and this kind of
yeah, just
stuff,
like
right? Or no?
just when you get any level of kind of carried away with it, I think that's when it's best.
Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah.
that's when they're the strongest. I mean, whatever emotion it is, if you feel something,
Yeah.
that's when it's good. Like even if that emotion is just like, I mean, if you're playing like paranoia and it's just kind of giddy ludicrousness,
Yeah.
that's fine. But like the rarest one is it feeling kind of genuine, and then after that it's like being scared, and then after that it's like having a laugh. That's kind of the hierarchy of feelings.
Yeah.
Any of them are
It
good,
is.
but it's definitely the higher you climb up that, the better.
Yeah. You mentioned, you thinking role playing games or tabletop role playing games being weirdly conservative. And what do
Mm.
you mean by that? It's like the ancient structure of having one GM, four players, a dungeon map, gem, scream, and dice, or it's
Um,
something different? What do you mean by
Kind
that?
of. I don't know. I mean, it's more of a general feeling than a concrete philosophy. But like you was mentioning, like there's a lot of fiddling around with the structure of play. I think like there's lots of like no GMs, all GMs. Like I like, is there an orc? I don't know. Is there an orc? That kind of stuff. Which is
Hmm.
great. But I don't know if that's not the kind of innovation I'm particularly interested in. Um,
What
uh,
is the
it,
kind of
I mean,
innovation
I,
or interested in?
I mean, I'm more interested in innovating inside that shape of GM players. That's like, I mean, I'm happy with that arrangement. That's fine. Um, and it's just, I don't know. It's just trying to create something that you read it and go like, huh, I wouldn't have thought of that. That's kind of where the good stuff is. And I think most, and not all by any means, but like I think most um,
You're more referring
roleplay
to
games.
themes and
Yeah,
settings
yeah.
and
Just themes,
stories and
themes and
adventures
settings
and all that.
are very just,
Repetitive in some
it's they've
ways.
all read Wheel of Time. I mean, there's of course loads and loads of stuff that's outside of that, but like
Oh yeah,
the stuff that gets up there and gets seen is extremely uh, you know,
derivative in a way.
yeah, just it's got a bit of a stiff back. It's you know.
Yeah. Do you have any particular creative ritual that you partake before you start writing, or sit down to do layout or do your work, even if it's administrative work for the publisher?
Mm.
Like, do you put your shoes? Do you put some music? Do you drink some coffee before you start? Do you have anything like this to help you get in the mood of your work?
I think when I was working more healthily than I am now, it would be that the I would usually write longhand, um, and I usually write with like um, I like nice pens just because I'm boring, so it's just nice to have. And yeah, so I lay them all out, write longhand for the first half of the day, and then um, write them up digitally in the last half, and then that's just kind of like the first editing pass. So in the longhand phase, you can be more just like whatever, just like go, do more, and then in the last half of the day, you can just be a bit more sober and figure it out. But Yeah, no, there's no ritual because I mean the ritual is just sitting down and bloody mindedly doing it. Just like even if you just sit there and do nothing, you just sort of sit there. Like that's what's happening
Do
right
you
now.
s- do you set a time for this kind of work? Do you have a schedule that you try to follow? To
I don't have a like. I mean, I don't really have a like a this must start at this time of day. But it's like it's just you get up, eat something, you start work, um, and that's the way it goes. Like in ideal circumstances. In reality, administrative work has never meshed well with that pattern. So
oh
it's my
yeah,
writing, like all, my books tend to get written in these like month-long stints where I don't have an enormous amount of work to do, and then between it's just
oh
noodling
yeah.
around, vainly hoping. So
I remember my first books. I basically took a vacation for a day job, and during the
mm,
vacation I would work on the book. So, but now it's like
yeah,
small little bits and crannies of time that I get throughout the day. And then,
mm,
but since we're talking about how you like write with long with pen in the morning and then edit, I was wondering if you had like I work with the pen in the morning and then in the
mm,
afternoon after you know and then writing in the computer. You mentioned like
mm.
you really like pens. Do you have any? Do you still use? You still doing that because you mentioned about more healthy work that you would do that? Are you still using this the writing with pen first and then computer, or because of time and management, are you going straight
I mean,
to
at the
computer,
moment, I'm
for
going
example?
straight to computer just because. I'm on the tail end of both these books, so they just need to kind of just like to be brutalized a bit digitally. You just need to go through and just kind of sort them out. So that kind of
Yeah.
nice section where you're feeling things out is past at the moment until these books come out and they're
Yeah.
finished. Then it'll be back into that, I think.
Do you have a notebook for each project, or do you have one notebook that you're writing out these things and you
Um,
organize in
I'm
some
not
way?
organized. I'm not organized enough. What I do is I have several notebooks, and they're scattered all over the house, and I lose them fairly regularly. But then that's good because then when you find them again, you read them and go, "Oh yeah, that was cool," and then you pick it up again. So it's always a
Yeah.
surprise finding something you worked on in the past.
It is.
So
You kind of get
that's fun.
inspired by your past self in a way.
Yeah, that's the best feeling when you read something. I'm like, oh, that's good. I like that. Who wrote that?
Yeah, I had a
So yeah,
good idea. Yeah.
yeah. That's when you know the book's finished. It's like, oh, that's clever. I wish I wrote that. And then you know, I did. Ah, brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any particular source of inspiration that you identify yourself drawing a lot from? I know, as game designer and artists, we're always looking at the world and drawing for anywhere, any place, anytime.
Mm,
But for example, myself, I see myself drawing a lot from the media and stuff that I consumed as a
mm.
kid, and like movies, cartoons, and comics of the late 80s and 90s. Do you have anything like this for you? Some place or some region of your
Yeah, yeah.
imagination that you
I
draw a lot from?
cannibalize I cannibalize things relentlessly. Like I mean, there's no original ideas, or everything's original ideas. I mean, it depends which way you look at it. But
Yeah.
yeah, like in ideal circumstances, I read quite a lot, and I like to read old, slightly trashy stuff, classic, like sci-fi and things like that, which is like heavy on ideas and cool stuff, uh, which is very easy to kind of get absorbed into. Um, Same thing. Films. I mean, I don't watch like I watch like I don't know. Yeah,
Any
I
particular series or authors or company
I
that
mean,
just make stuff that you like,
with like films
or
and
not
stuff, not
necessarily?
really. Like I just zip around with movie things. I think they have the same kind of problem that roleplay games have. Is that like it's hard to be too crazy because there's too much money involved. But like I've been watching like a lot of Italian horror lately, which is fun. Um, but yeah, no, it's mostly books, mostly novels and things. And then I mix that with a certain amount of like mechanical tampering. Like I have like a shelf of reference books, which I use as kind of a mixer. So like if I have like something like, I don't know, I want to take X idea or scene or creature or character from something that I vaguely remember, I will alter it in a mechanical way. Like I'll have one of my whatever books I go through, and I'll just be like, this is what I have in mind. This is what the book says I should do to it. Then I find somewhere between those two things, and it creates something that I wouldn't have thought of myself. If that makes sense. Like I
Yeah.
have like just examples. I got like book of
What are those
symbols and
reference
things.
books you mentioned?
Yeah, like I've got like a couple of symbol dictionaries, like just stuff you can get on
Oh yeah,
like that kind of stuff, just normal things.
yeah,
I've got
like a
a
thesaurus and stuff like this.
yeah, just like things like that. And I don't know, I got the complete magician's tables. That's really good because you can doesn't really
What?
work. Got
Complete
there it is, the
magician's
complete
tables.
magician.
Oh,
Yeah, it's like a I don't know, it's a bit hard to explain. It's a mad thing that wizards use. Like it's a real wizards. Real air quotes,
yeah.
whatever. But yeah, you can just like find something. I just skip through them. Oh, and there's like just books of like just pictures and things. Like I don't know if you know, like, oh, this is terrible. But like uh on beauty, on ugliness, those books.
Oh yeah, by yeah,
Things like that.
Umberto Eco. Yeah,
Umberto,
yeah.
that's the one. Yeah. If the books like that, which are just like piles of things, are really useful, and you look through them until something jumps out at you as being important, or you go through them entirely randomly, and then that's
That
how
sparks
you
something.
surprise
Yeah.
yourself. Yeah, you have the thing in mind. You have an alteration come from nowhere, and then you got a thing.
You mix two elements. You open two books and two different pages and see if they match together somehow.
Yeah, exactly. And then that that
Yeah.
that keeps the creation interesting because like for instance like with this book of this Troika neighborhood, right? There's I can't remember what it was. There's like 500 buildings here. You'll run out of ideas really quick. Like
Oh yeah.
once you've started, you just you can't be interesting for 500 buildings. So you have so those kind of I don't know what you'd call them.
Inspirations and
But
reference.
yeah.
Yeah, like a reservoir of ideas in a way, right?
Mm. Yeah, you just have
Yeah.
this kind of multi. So then as well, you have the benefit of that the same idea can be reused over and over again.
Oh yeah.
It's like
I love this phrase that says, everything that needed to be said has already been said, but since nobody
Mhm.
was listening, it's worth saying it again. So,
Exactly,
yeah.
exactly. That's why I mean this is why the all that the internet's gone mad about plagiarism recently. So I think that's going to do a lot of harm to people. They're going to get way too scared and be like, "Oh, everything has to be completely original now." It's like, no,
Yeah.
that's you're going to
Yeah.
wear yourself out.
Well, I swear by a book that the title is Still Like an Artist. And for me,
Mm,
that book changes the way I approach, creation and art. And
yeah, I
it
think
has its limits. It says that, plagiarism is stealing from one person and originality is stealing from like 10. So it's kind of this. Like we always mix
that is
things
it.
up,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's exactly
And
that's a really good description of it. Yeah.
and besides, these places you draw ideas from, do you have any sort of, role model in the way you approach your work, you do your job, or you position yourself in the community? And it can be like an artist or a writer or a game designer or any creator that serves you as a model or you learn it
I mean,
from any media. Do you have
well,
anything like this?
well, do you mean creatively or just like publishing house Lee? Because there's
You can
I've got different
specify,
ones.
like,
Well,
because I can talk about create game designer that's inspired by the mechanic, but I can talk about,
mm,
Pete Holmes, a comedian that has this podcast that inspired this podcast, and
mm,
another comedian, Bo Berman, how they do approach their medium. It inspired me to
mhm,
approach RPG media in a different way. So it's kind of this other artists that made you think, oh, they do this in movies. Maybe I
mm.
can apply the same principles and do something, in my field. Do you have any,
Yeah, I guess yeah.
that you learned
There's a
from?
few. In roleplay games, it is it's. I have a weird thing for Kevin Ciambada. Like I can't. I don't even know how you pronounce his last name. It probably isn't. but the Rifts guy,
Kevin C. Armada?
Palladium, yeah,
Oh yeah.
CM Bada. I apologize, Kevin. I don't know how to say your name, but just like I find him inspiring because you can just be like you don't have to be a a TikTok guy. You can be a crotchety late middle-aged guy in a warehouse in the middle of wherever, just doing your weird thing. And that's inspiring.
Oh yeah.
uh, and yeah, he said it's just yeah, like everything about his whole like Palladium stuff is all very uh, it just none of it works according to the current logic about how doing game books works, and I love that because it feels kind of hopeless sometimes when you see the way things are. It's all like everything has to be licensed or
Oh yeah.
influencers did, and it's a bit sad. Like it's nice
Yeah.
to see a game designer and a game company that for whatever else, whatever problems people have with them, they do the work and
They
have
doing their
kind of
thing and continue
they're
doing
doing their
it no
thing.
matter what.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean for
Yeah.
like what 30 odd years, for like a ridiculously long time.
Yeah. Yeah. And they're
But
still they're still in
still going.
conventions. These people are still playing Palladium, and
Yeah,
it's great.
it's amazing. Like just the fortitude of it as well, because like this is a incredibly rough business, and he's still there, and that just makes you think that
Yeah.
maybe we can all still be there. But I mean, outside, like, I mean, like I obviously steal from Gene Wolfe all the time. I just kind of love him. I love the way he makes stories. I love the relationship he has with the reader, where it's like he tells you to your face, like, I'm going to lie to you. Like, this is all, I'm going to try and trick you, and I'm going to try to be as confusing and ridiculous as possible. And I love that. And it gives you permission
Yeah.
to do the same thing when you see someone do it. I also like a more recent person that I absolutely love is Michael Sisko. Like I'm unhealthily obsessed with his output. um, it's yeah, it's just something about it. Just it's like so. I don't know. You read it and you get that feeling of just like you have permission now. Like, see, I'm doing it. You can be like this. You can be just completely freewheeling and bizarre, and it's fine. Just you have permission to do this as long as you do it well. And yeah, that's what I feel from that. And obviously, there's like
Great.
right, like
Yeah.
I love Jack Vance as well. Just because when you read it, like even when he's being clearly lazy and doesn't care about the book, he's just like effortlessly good. Like he's obviously just like someone who's really good at it and just doesn't care, and I like that as well. So yeah, there's some people I
Yeah.
think about.
Mm. Daniel, what would you say is like your weird mark that you leaves in the stuff that you make? Can you identify like your style or your voice in your work? And if you do, what would you say it is?
Yeah, I mean, I think I have a fairly clear voice in my stuff. I mean, people tell me I do, so I'm just going to go with that. Um, I don't know what that is. But I mean, it does seem to be including monkeys somewhere. They seem to work their way, monkeys or apes. I don't discriminate. Into my work, they always end up there. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I think a
Does it?
strong marker is also that everyone's got their own thing going on. I think that's something that's common to all my stuff. It's like all the people you meet, they got their own shit to deal with. Like, um,
Yeah.
and you may or may not get involved with that, but they don't mind.
Yeah,
So
it's kind of in real life too. Like, but what about the monkeys? It's where did it start and why? Is there any meaning behind this, or you just
no, I just think they're cool. I
okay?
think it's
Yeah,
just like there's just I don't know.
Have you
It's
always been into monkeys, or
no, not
something that
really.
started?
Just it's just
Okay.
something that just keeps coming back. It's like if you need a bipedal uh, monster, just a monkey with an axe is great. Like, I mean, I think it's also because like I think people, if you say like, oh, there's an orc with an axe, he's like, oh, an orc. But if you say like there's a chimpanzee with an axe, you're like, oh my god, oh, I'm leaving. Like people understand chimpanzees
Yeah,
more than they do orcs.
they're
It's
really
like,
strong too. So yeah,
yeah, you
with an
just
axe
you
they
got.
can do a lot. Yeah.
But I think they're
You
just it's nice. I mean, and they're also like weirdly mundane. I think, which is nice as well. It just kind of it flavors the soup. If you're going to be weird, you need to have something that brings you down a little bit. And I think a monkey is a good way of doing that.
yeah.
So
You mentioned, Kevin from Paradon, still being here, and talked about believing we all can still be here. Do you have plans for doing games forever? What is like your plans with this? Because I hear some authors saying, yeah, I'm gonna release this game and two more and I'm out, or something like this. I I can imagine, getting out, but I don't know. What is your feeling about, still being here in 10 years or something?
well, I mean, my ideal world and my ideal situation is I do what I'm doing now. But well, I make books, I write the books, I design them, and they look nice. And then someone else deals with fulfillment and customers and selling them. And I get a little stipend, which is enough to pay for my bills. And then I'm just left alone quietly, just make things forever until I drop dead. That's my goal.
Yeah.
How close I get to that is yet to be seen. But like, I mean, really, there's this is this is just what I do. I don't really want to do anything else. And at its best, this is what makes me
Yeah.
happy. Making games.
It is. Yeah, for me, it is. Like I miss if I stay too much without creating, I start feeling, maybe a creative pains or something. I don't know. It gets weird. And
Yeah, yeah. You
yeah,
just it just feels lonely when you
yeah,
haven't made
something's
anything for a while.
missing.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
just yeah, which is why I want to get rid of all the stuff that's not that. But I mean, I'd
yeah.
quite happily make these things and just never have anyone see them. It wouldn't bother me as long as I still got my bills paid.
Oh yeah,
I would.
yeah.
I'd be
That that's
perfectly fine
that's
with
the
that.
point. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I
That's
think
the
I
that's
think
the point.
that's probably why as well. I'm not too bothered about the criticism stuff because like I'd be happy if they didn't see them ever. Like it's
Uh,
you make it and it's
yeah,
cool. You show it to your friends and go, look what I did.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean, that's what the original Troika was.
yeah.
It was never really intended to be something that everyone played. It was just something, a little zine thing.
That's true. But it's still kind of nice when you see, people really enjoying your game, like people
Oh,
from
it's amazing.
all away from other part of the world, and they're like
Mm,
the thing you created. And even though I always say that I make my games for myself, like I'm making this because I like dinosaurs, I make this because I want to play this, but
mm.
it's still fantastic to see someone from Korea playing my game, or like
Yeah, yeah.
all
And
the way
if you're
over there. It's
if you're
great.
making them for yourself as well, like every time someone really enjoys your stuff, you know you found a little friend because like they like the
Yeah,
same stuff you like, so like you know that they're cool people, at least by your standards,
yeah.
So that's
Yeah,
that's the other benefit of making something that's really your
for
own.
you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because then you know that if someone comes up and says, "I love your work," it's like then you're probably a good person then, you know. So yeah,
What do you say, Daniel? What would you say was the weirdest game you ever played? And it could be either role playing games or video games or any other kind of
you mean
game.
like system or like singular event?
It can be either system, or it can be a game you played, something that's left you a mark, and when you were done, you were still thinking about, yeah, that was weird, that was fun. I can
Mm,
explore this in some way. I don't know, something that made an impression on you. Not necessarily a system, can be just a
I think
session.
a very very long time ago, I played in a. Uh, I mean, this was before it was. It all went pear shaped for him, but like Tekkamel was the thing way back, and that was kind of magical when it was firing on all cylinders. That kind of it was with a very very good GM who really kind of understood everything. So everything felt extremely
Wow.
concrete. Everything was
Yeah.
very heavy and there. That was nice.
And that's a
And I
hard
mean,
setting to be a good
it's
GM because it's so
it's
different.
extremely
Yeah.
hard. Yeah, yeah. It's like it's just it's very yeah. I mean, it's yeah. But let's not worry about Tekken. But yes, there's other things.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just that kind of It's like it's sad, but it's dead now. um, yeah. There's just that kind of game. You don't really get that so much. It requires a certain I don't know, something to be that crazy. I think maybe Han is like that, but I have no experience of Han. Like, I know it's
Yeah.
been around forever, but yeah. Yeah, in otherwise games, I mean, it's a really boring thing to say, but like Dark Souls really did, really did a number on me. Um, and
Yeah, it's
not
influential enough. Yeah, it's everybody talks about it because it did change. It started a genre of games, right? In a way, and
yeah,
influenced
and
tabletop games and everything. So it's
I think
fairly
it was
fair to
important. It was
talk
another
about
one of
it.
those things that it gave people. I mean, everything that can be said about it has been said, but like it gave you permission to create in a really I think people do appreciate it because like they talk about it all the time. You know, like that famous like, oh, it's like it is because he couldn't read English very well, so the fantasy books were just nonsense for the most part. So he created the game in the style of how he would read fantasy, and that's genius. That's like exactly how you should make things. That's super healthy for people to know about, and everyone seems to know about it. So like, I think that's great. That's really good. That's that kind of like that's what I was saying about that kind of like a healthy amount of ignorance is
Yeah.
really good. Like if when you're too knowing, you can't enjoy it.
Oh yeah, yeah. And and if you get to trying to figure out everything, you won't make anything. You're always researching, you always find new thing,
Yeah,
and trying to yeah.
I think that's why like a lot of like the books and media I read, people think is like weird or like I don't know what you'd call it, like just too full of itself. But like I think it's just because most people are too worried about understanding things. Like it's just you can just read things. You don't have to be
Yeah.
like, oh, this is what this means. You know, you can just read it and go like, oh. You walk around every day looking at things and going like, I have no idea what that buzzing box
Yeah.
over on the end of the street does, but it's fine. You just walk past it. Just if you read a weird
That's
book, if
true.
you're having fun, then just keep going. If you're not,
Yeah.
stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. And I'm trying to do that. I used to stop a lot on books and trying to find everything a little detail that I don't understand. And
Hmm.
it's probably something to do the second time I read the book because after we read out the book, it kind of makes some sense when you try to read it again. Those parts that didn't make
Hmm.
sense before start to make a little bit more sense. I would say.
Yeah, and that's fun in
Yeah.
itself. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think.
Then, do you have any other hobby besides role playing games that you do just for yourself? I mean, you're saying like you're super busy right now, so you probably
Yeah.
don't have much time. But like, did you
Um,
had anything before this
yeah.
madness started?
I mean, I used to have hobbies. um, yeah, I read. I play board games, video games, just games, that kind of stuff. I play music extremely amateurishly for my own entertainment. Um, Nothing particularly interesting. It's just yeah, it's just one of those. They're the things that I
Yeah,
do for myself. I don't have any
yeah,
desire to monetize in any way.
that's
I
great.
think that's
And
important.
has any of those things that you do just for yourself uh, helped you getting in a new place with your work? Have you learned anything, by playing music or read? Yeah, of course,
Um,
reading. Like we talked
hmm.
about this, but any how it influenced your creations. But uh, do the hobbies actually help you through your work, or do you think they take time
Sometimes,
away from it?
no, sometimes you'll have a little breakthrough while doing some stuff, like reading something or watching a film. I think like I had that with I read Viraconium off between the two first printings of Troika, and Viraconium just kind of solved a few problems I had like logically about how Troika is in my head, and that was important. And that was just bumping into something. I wasn't aware of Viraconian before then, and it was it's the M. John Harrison, I think. Terrible with remembering names. Yeah, I like playing music badly because it's absolutely impossible for that to be useful to work in any way. So that's why I like that, because otherwise everything
Yeah.
just kind of gets looped back in, and it's a bit exhausting sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what do you play? Do you play guitar, or what is
Oh,
that you play?
I just picked up the recorder a few years ago, just because it's very manageable. I got that.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a few other instruments. We just kind of mess around with them, just as like in a bit like the reading. If you stop worrying about being good, you can just enjoy yourself a
Yeah.
little bit. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, the recorder. I have an Erhu as well, which is kind of fun. But yeah, they're just like
Yeah.
toys. Really, I'm not very good at anything with those.
Yeah.
That's how I
I
wanted to stay. I
recently
wanted to stay bad. Yeah. Sorry, go
I
on.
recently got a ukulele just to have something to
Yeah,
play too and practice something. That's just for myself. And
it's
yeah.
just nice. It's just nice
Uh
having a thing that makes noise. You know, like
yeah, it
it's just
is.
it's therapeutic.
Yeah.
Mm.
Now we're getting, in more the personal part of the interview. I'm gonna ask you some question about your experiences, your life,
Hmm.
and things like this. And I want to start about weird experience you might have had, if you're comfortable talking about, maybe if you had any kind of out of body experience or near death experience, and if that
Mm.
changed you in some way. Have you ever had any experience like this?
Um, no, I really. The thing is, well, maybe once, but like I wish I had more and proper, because like I've always said I would really love to join a cult. Like if someone could convince me, I would be all over it. But I feel like I've been brain damaged. Like I don't think I can find religion anymore. I really want to. Like it'd be fantastic to have that. But I don't think I
Oh yeah.
can. Um, but I have had. I think I had one like out of body experience where I was just really miserable. Because like, when I get really miserable, I get kind of like gummed up and I can't think. So I think once I think I must have been like half asleep, but I had an extra version of myself telling me like very boring things, like how to get through the next week. It's like you have to do this, you have to do that, go do this, just do that. Stop thinking, go do that.
Hmm.
Not in such a nice way. It was vaguely sinister, but like it was quite boring. I mean,
And
as out of body
did it
experiences go, it
help
was
you?
very dull. Yeah, yeah, no, it was very practical advice. It's like it's what
Yeah.
I would have done if I wasn't just miserable. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, otherwise no. I
You,
mean,
you
I would love to.
you talked about religion and you can't find it. Are you atheist, or do you believe in God? You just can't find a religion.
I mean, I would.
How is
I
that?
don't know. I don't know what I am. Like I read a lot of occult and theology stuff, just because I would really like to. Like I mean, there's a lot of it
Why?
in my Troika work. If people haven't noticed, like everyone's named after a saint. But why? I don't know. It's. I mean, I
Do you
think it's
think
because
it's
like
something missing, or
maybe.
no?
It could be that. It could just be. I think like in the last maybe decade, I'm really sick of the cynicism of
Mm-hmm.
everything, and just having that kind of having a sincere belief in anything would be really nice,
Yeah.
and I would very much like that. But I don't know how. Like
Have
I
you?
mean, like when I was young, I was raised in like Church of England. But like, I don't know if you know anything about the Church of England, but it's like it's not a very religious place. It's just old ladies making cakes and being catty to each other, just
Wow.
and
Yeah.
arguing over who gets the seat near the front of the church. But I mean, I
Yeah.
never felt like there was any real religion involved in any of that. Um, it's like
But
like hmm?
have you tried, going to other temples or studying anything if you're interested in this, or?
I'm too nervous. There is a there is a there's a Platonic um, group quite a famous one. They're like a registered charity in the UK, and like I've had their books for ages, and I just realised the address on the inside of the book is just a bus ride away from me. I could go there, just
Wow.
become a platonist, and just you know. But I don't know. It's
Yeah.
it is a mix of I can't. I'm trying to get over my cynicism, and also just I'm a little bit nervous. Just in general,
Yeah.
like I'm a little bit nervous. Like it's because to even start on the road to a sincere anything, you have to get past that kind of that barrier of being kind of a little bit intimidated and scared of things, and it's just a lot of work. It's a lot of work and time, and
It is.
I don't know. I don't know. Do
Yeah.
you?
Well, I was raised Catholic, and then you know, went through a phase with this kind of Japanese religion here in Brazil called Messianic, the one with the Jorei. I don't know if it has that in England. Uh,
Hmm.
but then when I got into the youth group and then started, checking the church for what it was doing, and I started questioning about the money, like the donation of the money. What are we
Yeah.
doing? People were questioning, and nobody wanted to answer me. And then I think I got into comedy or anything, and it was very atheistic. And
Mm,
George Carlin, I think,
yeah.
was the one that made me atheist in a way.
It's yeah. It's
But
yeah.
but
I
but
makes sense.
I do have I studied philosophy, at least stoicism for my anxiety,
Mm,
and it does help me a lot. It has a
mm,
lot of similarities with the morals and the teachings of many religions, including Buddhism, some stuff from Catholicism that draws a lot from it, because it grew while Stoicism was really popular in Rome. So
mm,
that's something that really helped me, like those phrases. And sometimes when I very anxious, and then I started repeating those teachings about, yeah, if I can't do anything about it, it doesn't do any good for me to think about it and obsess about it. And the this too shall pass, it's something that
yeah.
I really
Yeah.
take
It's
to heart. And
Stoicism's a weird one.
do you have
Stoicism
anything
seems to
like
be. Yeah, I
do you
mean,
have anything that helps you deal with these difficult times? You talked about feeling miserable sometimes.
mm,
Do you have anything that helps you deal with those difficult times? I for once, when I had a panic attack in 2021, I attacked
mm,
my anxiety in all the ways I could. I started doing more exercise because I wasn't doing anything, like meditation. I did some therapy. I took some mushrooms. I did
mm,
microdosing, and now I'm on CBD.
mm.
But do you have anything that helps you deal with those difficult moments? And stoicism, of course. I start reading a lot, and every day I wake up, I read a page from one page from two books about stoicism. One about yourself, and one about being, a better parent.
Mm. Yeah. I mean, no. Like, I'm not. I don't think I don't have. I don't have very healthy habits. That's the problem, and that's another reason why it's kind of something to look for. Like I was for like I spent a lot of time like I was trying with Spinoza quite hard. Spinoza's become weirdly popular. It's like a philosophy thing,
Yeah,
and he's
I
either
saw some videos about it.
yeah, and he's either like he's either like the arch atheist or completely in love with God. No one can decide. He's one of those, and yeah, I don't know. It's like it was very appealing, but it's I find the problem is that when you get past the surface of any of these things, you just want to question people. It's like do you really like when you talk to you see a lot of
Hmm.
interviews with like Catholic priests and like do you believe in God in heaven? It's like oh well, it's a complicated like metaphors and
Hmm.
what is the thing? What is the thing you believe? What is the fact of it?
Yeah.
Like the whole. I mean, you're a Catholic. You know the what's the leftover wine and bread goes in the special box, and the special box is the body of Christ. And like it's like how literal is that? Because if that's not literal, that's not very
No.
fun
Yeah.
anymore. Like is it the body of Christ or is it to be treated as the body of Christ? It's like it's important how you answer that question, and it's just I don't know. Like they don't
Yeah.
they don't I don't know what it is. That's part of why I'm just kind of like
Yeah.
undecided.
Yeah, I think in those matters of spirituality and religion, we can't be literal. This is just stories to try to teach you a lesson about
mm,
living a good life, I would say. And
yeah, but that's not fun
yeah,
though, is it? You wanna-
yeah.
that's the thing.
Well,
That's why I like so Spinoza's popular because Spinoza's a what do you call it? I can't remember the word for it. It's the thing where everything is God. There's literally nothing outside of God. Like you're
oh
God, the
yeah,
cup's God, everything's God, which is why he's
yeah.
either
I
the
like that.
most goddy
I
or the
like that.
least goddy. So,
I like
yeah,
that.
I
I
don't know.
it has a lot of similarities with the stuff that I hear from Pete Holmes, the comedian, who is very spiritual, and he talks about
Mm,
that all the time. Like we are all a manifestation of the universe. We're all consciousness, and
mm,
then we all use these beat bags in different ways. But uh, if you take all that, like because it all circumstances. Now, yeah, I am Diogo, but I was born in Rio. I had these parents. I was raised like this. But if you take all those circumstances, what is left is you, and what is
mm,
left? Just conscience that is pretty much everybody else. There was the last one of the interviews I talked about maybe we are all the same thing. Like we are all different versions of the same thing, like a,
mm.
a multiverse of yourselves, and that every person is yourself in a way, just born in different circumstances.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, like there is. I mean, I don't know. You go down to the very fact that we are all just the same cell that we
Composition,
produced
yeah,
for the first time.
yeah,
we're all the same kind of like extension of an organism.
yeah,
Just like one big giant fungal mycelium,
yeah,
in a way.
yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know.
It,
I would love it. So if
it,
there's any cults out there that think they can get me, I would be way into it. Way into it.
yeah.
So
And
yeah.
besides religion and spirituality, I talked about out of body experiences. Have you ever had any experience with altered states of awareness, whether through meditation, hypnosis, or psychedelics? And if you did, could you talk
Maybe.
about experience with that?
I mean, I've always like I do I think I do meditation regularly, and I don't know if the way what I do is weird or not, but it's like I've never had problems sleeping because I can just like a problem I had with meditation is I'd always fall asleep. So if I want to go to sleep, I can just meditate. So like it's so I can always fall
Yeah.
asleep, no problem. And uh, yeah, I mean, I get a lot of luck with playing with being half asleep as well because getting to the point where I'm
Oh,
almost
yeah.
asleep is very easy. So like you can get your brain working pretty easily when you're in that state. And like I get like I keep a journal next to my bed because I often have just very
Mm,
well constructed dreams. So sometimes you can use those in the morning
nice.
or just
So
when you're
you,
falling asleep, you just get stuff. And you can, I mean, I can do it. I don't know. Again, I have no idea if this is common to everyone, but like I have a lot of luck with just being half asleep and just kind of promoting
oh,
that kind of
yeah.
dreaminess.
That's a state that a lot of artists seek, and it's hard to get. I remember reading about Salvador Dali, who would sleep with a spoon on his mouth.
Oh
So
yeah,
when
yeah.
he would fall asleep, he would wake up and stay in that state of half asleep. So
Mm,
that's great
mm.
if you have the
It's
practice and you
easy.
have the technique to get there. I
Yeah, it's
imagine
mostly
that's very
accidental. I
healthy
meant to
for
like
creativity, right?
oh yeah, yeah. Like Jim Woodring does has something like that. I don't know if you know Jim Woodring. He does the Frank comics. Or, he's a comic artist. He's super good. I'm a big fan, but he calls it his sticky state, which is I think a good way of describing it. He does because your
And
brain's
what
all
is your
sticky. Hmm?
technique to get there? Like, do you do this meditation to go to sleep and you don't go, you
Yeah,
just stay in that sleep
there's.
state?
I mean, if I get a good idea, I'll wake up and then write it down because it will disappear as soon as you fall asleep. It's
Yeah.
gone.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
not going to keep it. It's not often that you get to keep the dreams when you wake up. So it'll usually be I have to write them down. That's why it's next to the bed because you have to do it in the middle of the night usually. I mean, most of
Yeah.
the time it's complete nonsense, but like it's sometimes you get some good stuff. Um,
Yeah.
and often you'll resolve problems just because it's you get that state where I don't know, like it's like you put your brain into those candy floss machines. It just kind of
Yeah.
spins out and then just shapes will
Yeah.
happen, and then sometimes
It,
something will solve itself. But I mean,
For sure.
it's not like it's not a central part of how I do things. It's just sometimes it's
Yeah,
pretty good.
it's
I mean,
just another tool in your arsenal, I would say.
yeah, yeah. It's
If
just
you're able to do that, that's something good to use
you can
sometimes.
get like I mean,
Yeah.
I have had. I mean, I tried mushrooms in the past, and that was fine. I'd like to try it again now I'm older, but
Yeah. I've just
you
tried
know,
older. As a kid, I was super. As a teenager, I was super afraid of everything. So yeah, I tried older.
yeah. I mean, that's. I think. I mean, that would be worth trying maybe. But I also like because I've done all the spiritualism reading stuff, like all the wizard books and religious stuff. It seems they all kind of agree that drugs are cheating. So there is that. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm a bit.
Well,
It's,
there is the theory that we kind of evolved because of psychedelics and mushrooms.
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
But there's
and
also the
and
other problem is that like Hollywood podcasters have made hallucinogenics extremely uncool. It's like it's always what's that meaty bald one that everyone watches? The comedian
Joe
man,
Rogan.
Joe Rogan. Yeah, that guy. It's like he's always like, oh,
Yeah.
it's DMT, man, DMT. It's like, oh Jesus, like good way to make DMT the most uncool drug in the world. Um,
Yeah, I haven't
so yeah,
tried that one. Just but
no,
yeah.
it's a bit scary. Like like watching people just switch off. It's like no, I'm all right,
Oh
thanks.
yeah, I haven't watched anyone using this, but uh, talk about maybe other reader experiences. Maybe talk about your beliefs in the supernatural or anything.
Hmm.
Do you believe in ghosts or aliens or any kind of weird thing out there? And have you ever had
Not really.
any experience with that?
No, I mean, I once saw something when I was very young in a caravan park that I thought would be a UFO, but like, never really figured out what it was. But it probably was some kind of weird kite. But yeah, that wasn't like formative or anything. I just, I see you see things all the time, like late at night, where it's like I have no idea what that is. And then you get closer, and it's just a bloody like cat with its back to you or something. Nothing scarier than a backwards cat at night. But no, again, it's another thing. Like I would love to be abducted. I'd love to have a ghost come and mess with me. Any of these things, I would really, really like. I'm not cynical. I just silence phone. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, I'm not. It's not that I'm cynical as such. It's just I feel like I've been,
you haven't had the
I've been
chance yet
blocked off
to
from.
experience
Yeah,
anything. Yeah.
all for it. Very, very open. I mean, I'm scared of going into like abandoned hospitals at night, but I don't know if that's ghosts or cowardice. Just,
Yeah, well, if you want to go the experience, you have to go to their place. The ghosts are very,
that's the thing.
territorial. So yeah,
That is it. So
yeah.
I don't know.
Uh, Daniel, now getting into more the whimsical and kind of fun questions that are more about your personality and things that you like.
Hmm.
If you could have any superpower, what superpower would you choose to have, and what would be the first thing you would do with it?
Um, Superpower. I mean, I don't know. Flying would be nice. Yeah, that'd be nice. I'd enjoy that. Um, it's like one of the meditation techniques. Going back to the other thing that I use is something like that, and it's just like I think it'd be nice to know what it really feels like to fly. Um,
Oh yeah,
yeah.
where would be the first place you would fly to if you could
Oh,
fly?
just up, just go, just hang around in some clouds. That'd be good. And just come back, just up and down. Really, I wouldn't go sideways very much. Um, yeah, probably it.
Yeah,
And then you can just like yeah, go check out the ocean a bit, stuff like that. Just noodle about,
just enjoying the winds on
just
your arms
enjoying it.
and
Yeah,
stuff. Yeah, yeah.
just
And
floating about.
And if you could choose any weird and fantastic or supernatural thing from fiction, whether it's from comics, books, movies, or even games, and make it real in our
Hmm.
world, what would you choose to make real and why?
Oh, I'd like some kind of galactic empire. That'd be fun. Just to turn up one day and just be like, "Yep, you're in a nature reserve. It was a joke all along. This space you've been looking at, it's a curtain." And there's just loads of stuff out there, and it's just this big wide universe of fun new things. Any of them, any
Oh.
Galactic Empire, good, bad, whatever. I'll take it. Good is preferable.
You just want to shake things up, right? You want to
Yeah, I just
be,
want things to be
you want to
broader.
join a cut, you want to be abducted, you want a Galactic Empire, just want to
Just expand.
see something happen, right?
Yeah, just anything.
It's too boring, like here, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much that's the gist of it. Yeah.
Yeah. And finally, Daniel, do you remember the last time you felt, really happy and grateful for being here and being alive? And if you do, can you share with us when was that and how did you feel?
I mean, I try to practice gratitude generally.
Do you?
I try to.
Do you have a practice for it? Do you have a
Um,
practice that you do regularly, or?
it's like I don't know, it's something I picked up when I was young, like to deal with like anxiety. It's just this to take. It's just a grounding exercise, I guess, is what you describe it as, like a CBT grounding exercise, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Just like acknowledging the realness and the kind of the presence and the future, and how everything must change, and that's good. But yeah, no, generally I also have a problem with gratitude. I think like I don't feel that I don't often feel kind of bathed in love. I mean, not like you don't get it from people. Like, it's just that kind of like that kind of beaming kind of that thing you see when people look at their babies or something, where it's just like
Yeah.
insufferable amounts of joy and love. Yeah, no, that's
Yeah, that
that's for the
doesn't
cult
happen
to
all the
do.
time
That's
too.
the cult's
Yeah.
job. So I need to join a
Yeah.
cult. They need to give me that. I need to whatever they can.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, I was happy the other day when someone I'm working with, David Hoskins, did some arranged some administrative things that I didn't have to do. That was like great. I was almost a little choked up. It's like I didn't like. It's just like I don't have to do something. It's like, oh, I can not do that. Oh,
That's great.
Not
Yeah.
even joking. Just like it's the best gift.
It is like, because sometimes we have so much stuff on our head, and I still have to do this, and someone goes there and does it for us. It's great.
Beautiful.
We feel relieved in a way and grateful. So yeah, I understand it. Yeah. Daniel, thank you so much for coming here. Those were the questions I prepared for you. And do you have any last message to give the wonderful weirdos out there that are listening to us?
I don't know. I don't know. Just steal things. Ignore the internet. Just steal stuff. And also go and buy Swivers next week, please. That would be really helpful.
Oh yeah, go buy Swivers. We're putting links on the show notes, so check it out. And Daniel, can you take us out saying the catchphrase of the show? Keep it weird, everybody.
Keep it weird, everybody.
Thank you for listening to Weird Games and Weirder People. If you'd like to keep up with the show, please subscribe to be notified when we release new episodes. If you'd like to support us, please leave a review or head on to code-fi.com/WGNWP. See you next time, and remember, weird is the new wonderful.